Hello and welcome to another tutorial on iColorama masking. My name is Jerry Job and I'll be leading you through some tips and a workflow of how I go about creating masks that I then use within iColorama. I'm going to start today with an image from a friend of mine. It's the shoreline of Chesapeake Bay. What a mask does is allows you to manipulate different areas of your image in different ways. In this case, I want to bring out some definition, some sharpness in the trees, in the beach, the branch, the water possibly, but I don't want those changes to apply to the sky. The sky has enough definition in it already. I really don't need any more definition. I don't like that crispy sky look. So what I want to do is build a mask that will apply to this area and mask out the sky area. I could paint that in, but when you get to that edge right there where the branches stick out over the sky, those leaves, that can be difficult to paint in. So what I will do is use Style Flatted that will create a mask that's just white and black. Option 4 here creates just white and black. And since a mask is just white and black, here I have a good start on it. I need to make this all black down here on the beach in the water. I need to make the sky entirely white to create a useful mask. So I'll apply those changes. Flatted number 4. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to paint in, that's under Presets, Gradient, I'm going to paint in some white over the sky. I've got white here, but I'm going to go into my masking, my brushes, and I'm going to invert the mask using that icon right there to change it so that I'll be painting in the white over top. I'll lower the size of my brush and just go in and paint white in over these black spots in the sky so that I have a purely white sky area. I'm going to do the same thing with the black. So I'll apply those white changes. Now I'm going to go into Presets Gradient. I'm going to change it to black. And you'll see that the black is up here in the sky where we don't want it. That's because a mask already exists from where we painted in the white. So I will trash that mask and invert this so I'm painting in black. I'll paint in black over all these little spots up here in the trees. And then I'll paint over this larger area down here. So I can quickly paint in this black. Then I'll zoom in to where I can get right up to that line that's there. I'll change to a hard-edged brush. And now I've got a nice hard edge to paint in right up to that black that already exists from doing the flatted. So I move around here until I can get everything painted in. And now if I double tap out here, you can see there is my completed mask. black in the trees and the beach and the water, white for the sky. I'm going to save that so that I can load it as a mask. I save that to my photo album. Then I go back in my history to the original photo and I load a mask using this icon right here, which will bring up where are my photos. I'm going to load that mask in. So that mask exists right there over my photo. With iColorama masks, black reveals, white conceals. So we have black over all of this right here and white over the sky. Black would reveal any changes we made. White conceals the changes we made, any changes we make. That's the opposite of Photoshop. So let's go into Adjust, HDR, and we're going to go to option 4 here. And you can see that brought out a lot of definition in our trees, in the branch here on the ground, those pebbles on the beach, the water over here. As a matter of fact, it brought in a little bit too much. So I'm going to dial back the opacity on that. Those HDR changes to a little over halfway. And I'm going to apply those changes. I also want a little more color, so I'm going to go into Vibrance, Saturation, and Saturate a little bit. Probably not that much. There we go. Now you'll see that these changes are applying to this area out here, but they're not changing the sky whatsoever. That's because we have the mask in place. Now what if I want to make changes to the sky? Maybe if it's got a little bit too much definition, or maybe it needs a little bit more color. So how we would do that is to invert the mask that's already there, using this half white, half black icon there. Now any changes that we make will apply to the sky and not to the rest of the picture. So I'm going to take my contrast under exposure here, and I'm going to take down my contrast a little bit. You see how that's applying to the sky and not to the beach. And also want to add a little more color. I'll apply those contrast changes. And then this first channels I know brings out blue real well. So I'm just going to do channels, and it's going to apply that first one of 9 there. And that gives a nice blue to the sky. So I'll apply those changes. And that's pretty good. I think I'll save that. Well, that's a mask that we created from the image itself. But you can also bring in masks from other programs, other apps. Let's say you want to mask in changes based on text. You could do that. Or in this case, I'm going to mask in, bring in a mask that was created from a brush in iColorama. I'm going to start with this image right here. You'll see that I like the doll there, but there's some area over here that possibly we could do something with. And so just to illustrate the changes that are made through a mask that's created from outside it, I want to apply that just on this area over here. But the problem with masks in iColorama is that if you load a mask, that mask will stretch itself out to apply over the entire image. If I have the word doll, let's say, and it's stretched this far, but I have it in portrait mode, that mask that I'm trying to use, well then it would stretch that word out and it would cover the doll's face. I can't move the mask around to say I only want it to apply over here and not over here. Let's see how that works. You are able to manipulate an image, an overlying image, if you use Effects Blend. So we're going to create a mask out of an already existing mask that was made with a brush. You'll see what I'm saying when I load this second image here, which is I used a white brush over a black background, white iColorama brush. I just tapped once and so it painted white over a black background. If we stretched that out to cover the entire image of the doll, then these flowers would be contorted and they would cover the doll's face. We want the mask to only be over here. So the first thing I notice about this particular mask is that I've cut off the edge over here. I don't want that cut off edge to be on this side, so I'm going to rotate the mask. Then I'm going to enlarge it and move it over this area right here. Now, in order to make sure that part of that mask doesn't overlay the doll, do we know that that tendril there does not cover the doll's shoulder? Well, we can lower the opacity and see that it's pretty darn close. Let's move it away a little bit here. And then we'll raise the opacity again. And now we know that that white is placed where we want it to be in order to use as a mask. But this is not ready to be a mask yet because we have this whole area over here that's not either white or black. So I'm going to apply here. I'm going to go into Presets, Gradient, and I'm going to paint in black. Change the color to black. We're going to change the mask, invert the mask. Oops, have to hit the brush first. Brush and then invert. And then we are able to use the brush to paint in black over here. And now we have a usable brush, a usable mask created from a brush. I'm going to save that. Once again, we save it and then we go back in history to the original photo. And then I'm going to load that mask that we just created. Now, since black reveals and white conceals, any changes we make will show up where there was black in the mask. In other words, all over here, over the doll, and not where the white was of the flowers. So we'll invert the mask. And now any changes I make, let's say I put in grunge, will just apply where those flowers were. You can make any kind of changes you like. If I wanted to go into tritone, if I wanted to go into any of the brushes, let's say I go into a stamped brush, you'll see white applied. And that's because that's where the canvas is that we are painting on with this brush. It only applies where we see that, where we see the white there. So now I can go ahead and use that spatter brush. You can bring the size up, it doesn't really matter, because once we start painting, it will only apply where the mask is. And then I can lower the opacity. A nice little decorative touch to that side of the screen. So we have seen how you can create a mask from your image. We can see how you can paint in masks, and we now see that you can create masks outside of the program entirely and bring them in. Just so long as they're white and black, we can use them as masks in iColorama. I hope this helps you in your artistic endeavors, and I hope that you'll come back and see any future tutorials that I make. Thank you.